Hey guys, this is Tearless here with another Warlords of Draenor beta video. This is the last of the rogue videos, going to be looking at Subtlety rogues. I'm going to look into the major changes to the spec, their changed abilities and removed abilities, their new glyphs, their new Draenor perks, and finally their changed, removed, and new talents. Now, rogues in general have two major changes that have happened. The first deals with combo points. If you notice, I can come up here and build combo points on this target on the right, and then I can move over to the target on the left and burn it with an eviscerate. So basically, combo points are now tied to the player instead of the target. Right now I have one combo point. I can switch to each one of these. You can see that combo point in the top left corner is still on the target, no matter which target I move to. So I can build combo points here, move to this one, build some more combo points, and then burn them all on the last target. That's huge quality of life improvement for rogues. I don't know how long rogues have been asking for this change, but it's finally been put into the game, so definitely a nice one. There's been a consolidation of abilities across the board for rogues. There have been a lot of abilities that were just passives that affected only one ability of rogues, and so Blizzard wanted to kind of just get rid of the spellbook bloat that was there. So I'm not going to go through the removed passives, and I'm not going to go through changed abilities that changed because the passives were added into them. Just know that your playstyle will not change. You're just going to have to look in the spell book in a different direction if you're looking for a specific spell passive or whatnot. A lot of the spell passives have just basically just been baked into the existing abilities that they already applied to. So it's just a few things that have been removed from the spellbook that you're not going to have to worry anymore about. In terms of sub-rogues' major changes, the first is a quality of life improvement. Now, ambush has been changed so that it can be used from any direction. You can, you can ambush from the front. It doesn't matter. You no longer have to be behind the target to use ambush. Now, that applies to all rogues, but specifically to sub-rogues where backstab is important. This is where, that quality of life change comes to be very important. Now, backstab, they wanted to kind of keep true to its name, backstab, so you cannot backstab a target from the front. It says you must be behind your target, but in reality you just need to be to the side. If you'll notice, I barely moved to the side, and then I can use it there. So we're talking, if you're facing a character and you're at the 6 o'clock position, you're talking about from 8 to 4 o'clock, or from 4 to 8 o'clock, you cannot use backstab, but anywhere beyond that you can use backstab anywhere on the target. So that's a really nice quality of life change. They used to only be able to do it from behind the target, and now that has changed just to make things a whole lot easier as a sub-rogue, both in PvP and PvE. PvE mobs moving around a lot. PvP always has stuff moving around, but PvE mobs moving around a lot is just a quality of life change that you're going to have a lot nicer, easier time dealing with. Now, the other change that was done was to Honor Among Thieves. Honor Among Thieves, I'm going to go ahead and bring it up here. Honor Among Thieves made it so that critical hits in combat by your party raid members granted you a combo point. Now that has been changed so that critical hits by you and your party or raid members can grant a combo point. There's still the funnel that it can only happen once every 2 seconds, but the source to which it can happen has been increased by adding you to the equation. So if you're not in a group and so forth, you can still benefit from Honor Among Thieves as opposed to earlier to which you couldn't. So that's definitely a nice change that's been brought to Honor Among Thieves and the subclass as a whole. So that's kind of the major changes to sub rogues. Taking a looking at their changed abilities, this first one here I'm going to go ahead and pull up. You can see in this second portion right here, this is the important change to the ability. Sinister Calling used to just be a flat agility increase. Well, now when you multi-strike with a backstab, which means multi-strike is like the old elemental shaman mastery or the old marksmanship hunter mastery, where you got like an equal a duplicate spell cast that did a little bit less damage. Now multi-strike is a stat in the game, so everyone has multi-strike. So when you multi-strike with backstab or ambush, you twist the blade, causing all of your bleed effects to instantly tick an additional time. That's a really cool little change that they've made to the class. I don't think I can get one to pull off. I mean, I can put up Hemorrhage, build up Hemorrhage, get Crimson Tempest going, and then get Rupture going. But I don't think we're going to be able to see the extra tick in there from multi-strike. But just know that you now can get that, nice big multi-strike from the changes in the that they've made to Sinister's Calling. So nice change there. It'll be interesting to see how effective it is. Overall, it ends up being a damage increase, but it causes the player to want to have more bleed effects on your target because of the instant tick that they could get. The multi-strike tick, I guess you could get off of the bleed effect. So, other changes to rogue abilities are Smoke Bomb, which has been reduced from a 20% damage reduction down to a 10% damage reduction. Swift Blade's Cunning used to increase haste by 10%. It now increases it only by 5%, but it also increases your multi-strike chance as well. And those are the changed abilities for sub-rogues. I mean, not too much there. I already went over the ambush change, so that leads us into the remove change for sub-rogues. First being Disarm Trap. Understand that Hunter Traps now function a little bit differently now. They instantly activate, so it's not as big a nerf as you would think, but it's still a nerf in the fact that in situational abilities such as, the hunter has laid a trap on a flag in AB and you want to disarm it and try and ninja the flag when the hunter's not paying attention, you're not going to be able to do that anymore. But I'm just telling you of how the changes to hunter traps are. You won't notice it. It's not as large a nerf as originally you would think. Another one of nerf that's probably not as large as you may think is that Dismantle's been removed from the game. All disarmor effects have been removed from the game. Weapon chains have been removed from the game. They're cutting down, along with blanket silent spells. They're just removing them out of the game for PvP purposes. So honestly, I think overall it's going to make things a lot better. So I'm sorry if you're a huge fan of Dismantle, but definitely they've been cutting that out of the game. Mind-numbing poison is another thing that's been kind of cut back on. The reason behind this is the fact that casters in PvP no longer are mobile as they are on live. So giving an ability that has the chance to slow their casting speed makes things really difficult for them. All classes that had this ability lost it. Arcane Mages lost it on their slow ability. Their slow ability now only affects movement speed. So that has been a change kind of across the board as well, with everything dealing with that, with casting speed and actually trying to increase their cast speed, or increase their cast time. Redirect has been removed, but that really doesn't mean much because combo points are now on the player instead of the target. Shadow Blades were removed, and I have not found a reason from Blizzard as to why they wanted to remove Shadow Blades. It's just been removed from the game. They just did not want it in the game anymore, so see you later, Shadow Blades. Shadow Walk has been removed, and that was your significant stealth increase for 6 seconds. Otherwise, that's the bulk of all sub spell removals. they got hit, I think, a little bit lighter than the other two specs, so it's not as bad. The rogues, sub-rogues, have received 3 new glyphs. The new glyphs are, the first being Glyph of Elusiveness, reduces the cooldown of evasion by 30 seconds. If you notice, it says it's exclusive with Glyph of Evasion and Glyph of Energy Flows. Well, that basically means that you can only have one of those active at a time in your active glyphs. You cannot have all 3 active, you cannot have even 2 of them active, you can only have one of them active. Another new glyph is Glyph of Energy, which increases your maximum energy by 20. Extra energy is always good. Nice. And the third of these new glyphs is Glyph of Energy Flows, which each time you dodge while evasion is active, you gain 10 energy. Any type of glyph that's exclusive with other ones usually deals with one ability. So, I mean, you can't sit there and just make one ability on your bar completely overpowered with all these buffs from glyphs and go from there. You can't do that. So that's why they brought in the exclusivity between glyphs. The Draenor perks, unfortunately, sub-rogues got the shaft on Draenor perks. Theirs are rather lame, and by lame I mean they got a lot of just damage and just straight damage improvements. There is Empowered Fan of Knives, which Fan of Knives now generates a combo point for each target hit that it hits. This one's actually just fun, to be honest. I can sit here, use Fan of Knives and Crimson Tempest back and forth over and over. And Crimson Tempest's had its bleed damage in general has had its kind of been its damage formula. There we go. Excuse me. Damage formula has been changed so that now it just stacks on top of one another, so I can keep using Crimson Tempest and the bleed damage will just keep stacking and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's a cool change for Fan of Knives and sub-rogues. There is Enhanced Eviscerate, which reduces the energy cost of Eviscerate, bringing it down to 30 energy. Enhanced Shadow Dance, which increases the duration of Shadow Dance by 2 seconds. There's Enhanced Stealth, which is you deal an additional 5% damage for 6 seconds after stealth breaks. There's Enhanced Vanish, which reduces the cooldown on Vanish by 30 seconds. There's Improved Ambush, Improved Backstab, Improved Hemorrhage, Improved Recuperate. All 4 of those are just straight damage buffs or healing buffs in terms of Recuperate to the class. I really don't like it. It's like Blizzard ran out of ideas, but that's what they decided to go with. So that leaves us with the new talents and the changed talents in the tree. The first is in the 15 tier, is Subterfuge, and it is your abilities requiring stealth can still be used for 3 seconds after stealth breaks. So they changed it so that you could no longer sit in stealth, no one could CC you, and attack for 3 seconds before anyone could do anything about it. That has been changed. Blizzard themselves, in rogue-specific patch notes, have said that they felt that this was too powerful and they needed to bring it down. So that's why it's been brought down. It works just like a Shadow Dance. You know, you get to keep using Ambush, etc., your stealth abilities, while for 3 seconds every time your stealth breaks. So that is the change there. 75 tier saw the axe to Paralytic Poison. Blizzard, since for a very long time, has been trying to cut down on passive stuns in the game. Ever since, gosh, I think it was Rogue Maces that gave that passive stun. I can't remember what it was. It was a rogue. It was a rogue special. It was a talent tree rogue ability that gave him that passive stun. Ever since then, they've been trying to cut down those passive stuns in the game, and so Paralytic Poison has been removed from the game for that purpose. It has been replaced with Internal Bleeding, which is your kidney shot also causes the target to bleed for 6,500 damage per combo point over 12 seconds. So, nice there. I don't know how it's going to compare to the others on the 75 tier, but it's not bad. That leads us to the level 100 tier. In the level 100 tier, you have Venom Zest, which increases your maximum energy by 15. It also increases your energy regeneration rate by 5% for every enemy you have poisoned up to 3. So, not sure how useful this will be. Sub of all the specs has the most difficult time spreading their poisons with most recent changes. Assassination can do it flawlessly. Combat can do it pretty effectively now that it's now tied to their AoE ability. I can't even think of it at the moment. So I don't know how popular this one will be. The ability on the right here, Death from Above, is I think going to be a popular ability in PvP just because of not anything dealing with damage. It's finishing moves that consume combo. It's a finishing move that consumes combo points on the target to empower your weapons with shadow energy and perform a devastating two-part attack. You whirl around, dealing up to 5,500 damage to all enemies within 8 yards, then leap into the air and eviscerate your target on the way back down with such force that it deals an additional 50% damage. Honestly, I think the most important part of this change of this ability is actually the gap closer that it is. It's a 15-yard range, so if you find yourself out of range of a target, you're able to use this as a gap closer to get back in range of the target. I think that is pretty important. And I think it's something that rogues will seriously consider using in PvP just so that they can have that extra, I guess, gap closer to use in combat. The last of these abilities is Shadow Reflection, which is you summon a shadow of yourself on the target that will watch you and memorize your offensive ability usage for 8 seconds. After this time, it will mimic the memorized abilities on the target for the next 8 seconds. This is kind of like a Windwalker's Storm, Earth, and Fire, except for it's a delay on when they actually use the abilities. Storm, Earth, and Fire, they use it in sync with the primary monk, whereas on this ability, they just memorize your abilities and then go from there. So if I'm going to go ahead and cast this, you can see my shadow. It's actually in the back there. He's kind of stuck behind the target. But I will go ahead and use abilities here. And then after that 8 seconds, it uses those abilities as I had used them in the previous 8 seconds. Now this can become a really powerful tool because you can burst in those 8 seconds that Shadow Reflection is up. And then if you time your burst when Shadow Reflection starts mimicking your moves in the past 8 seconds, you can have like a double burst phase on the target. And that's where this ability can be very popular in PvP. I don't know how popular it will be in PvE, but it is definitely something to look out for that I think PvPers will be taking a look at. That is all of the changes for sub-rogues. They overall did not receive as many changes as others, but I think the most important things are the quality of life changes on backstab and combo points being on the player as opposed to the target. So that's everything dealing with rogues. The next video, I'm not sure what I'll be looking into. I think I'm going to wait until a patch comes out so I can see which classes have been more solidified in their abilities. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. Tearless out.